Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
My 44 male, wife 41 female, was recently contacted by her ex-boyfriend / co-writer 36 male, and I'd grown a bit nervous. Hello everyone, let me first start by saying that my wife and I are very open, maybe way too open about our past and past partners and all that. She is my second wife. My first wife was big on fidelity and we broke up over her cheating. The ex and I share a son. My wife also has a daughter of her own from a previous marriage. We've been married for 5 years and our little blended family works well together. As I mentioned earlier, we are perhaps too open about our past relationships. Her first husband was a serial cheater. He was a musician and slept around with women from his gigs. She stumbled onto his emails only to learn that he was involved with 5 other women, one of which he'd gotten pregnant. Not wanting their child to grow up in a broken home, she wanted to save the relationship and reached out to one of her old internet friends for advice. We'll call him Chris. The two had been friends for 7 years up until that point, but had never met. They were writing partners. In fact, before they lost contact, they had been writing a novel together. She tells me that when she reached out for support, he was very kind and had actually been recommending a lot ways to get past infidelity or what you should speak to an attorney about, in general being a good friend. Somewhere in that they decided to revisit writing their book again. According to her, they would casually flirt, but as they lived on opposite sides of the country, they had no means to act. In all this, she decided her marriage was dead and stopped trying to fix things. Checked out, I guess. She and Chris expressed mutual attraction, and by the end of the year, he flew out to meet her. She filed for divorce right after the affair got physical, and Chris moved later that year to be with her. To make a long story short, her daughter, who was only 5 at the time, didn't really take to him. As she says, he didn't do anything wrong, she just wasn't adjusting properly after the divorce and didn't like somebody replacing her father. My wife told him they needed to take a break due to this, and due to the fact that he's a bit crass sometimes. She had only intended for it to be a short break, but he was apparently so hurt that he moved that far to be turned away 2 months in, and so he broke it off entirely. After months had gone by, they reconnected to try and finish their book. They began sleeping together again during this time, but it was just a physical thing. They came close to finishing the book, but she started dating me. Thus, they stopped sleeping together. She felt weird about having an ex hanging around once she got in a committed relationship, and so by her own admission, she stopped returning his emails, which were all book-related, with the same frequency, and stopped working on it on her end so much. He grew frustrated after a few months of this and blocked her on everything. Which finally, a month ago, after 4 or 5 years of no contact, he messages her out of the blue. He contracted COVID and nearly died. Chris contacted her because apparently in that time apart, he rewrote the book without her contributions, managed to get published, wrote and published a sequel, and released his work came really close to not be finished if he died. He wanted to make it known that if something should happen to him, that he wanted the rights of this thing turned over to her, as she knows how it will end, and help create the story. Fair enough, that actually sounds nice, but then they get to talking. He's apparently writing a comic adaptation, and he invited her to come on board for it. He has a lot of the art done, and she was very excited, showing me and explaining to me who all the characters were, their backstories, which she thinks he got wrong in the design. She also read the first book and is telling me which names he changed, what characters were and weren't in their version, the plot differences, and she seems to be having a lot of fun with it. I knew they wrote together, she's mentioned it before, but I had no idea they had this whole universe created. I can tell it was something that was really important to her. She seems like she might take him up on the offer, and this worries me. Every time they've worked on something in the past, it leads to, and there is a bit of Yule content in their writing. I'm not the jealous type, and I certainly don't want to step on a dream she had buried, but I don't want a repeat of history. I'll admit I decided to snoop their conversation, and while he seems like he's been on the level and is only really discussing the project, she's pressing for information on his personal life. I wouldn't say in a flirty way, but she asked him if he's seeing anyone now, and when he answered no, he's too busy, that relationships just get in the way, she told him he needs to get back out there. That celibacy isn't a good look on him. We're pretty open about our past life, so I know her ex-husband was terrible at it, and once when drunk she said of Chris, "Don't let a great convince you it'll be a great relationship, how the hell do I proceed?" I know she was emotionally broken by her ex-husband, and that's why she cheated. But she did cheat with this man. I've met him. He seems like an on-the-level guy, but they have a history that tells me something might happen. I want to approach my wife with my concerns, but I don't want to seem like an overbearing, controlling person. When she talks about this book, I barely knew anything about. It feels like it's something that was deeply important to her that she forced not to be important. I want that for her, but I don't want their interactions to escalate into something more like they have 3 times already. Now look at some comments. As usual, print out this post and hand it to your wife, especially since you say you two are so open with each other. You will never be more eloquent than what you just wrote. Good luck. I would say a very acceptable boundary to draw is I'm not okay with you making a book with the guy who you left your last husband for. Context though. Her ex-husband cheated and the relationship was a walking corpse for the last 6 months of it, Chris showing up in the last month. Because of my ex-wife, I really don't like cheaters in general, but it's fairly easy to rationalize why she did it. Doesn't bring much comfort though when it's literally the same guy. Creating a book together involves a very close professional relationship. Sure, she can say that it's totally over between him and her. But the issue is, are you going to be 100% okay? Relationship is staying professional. If you guys have a fight, are you going to be upset if she goes and works on their book together? There's a lot of messy factors going to be involved in this. If you have an issue with it, that's okay. This isn't just some guy she used to be writing partners with. It's a guy she had an intense and annual relationship with. Once you cross a line with someone, sometimes you can't walk it back. You and her have to realize that collaborating with an ex-partner is a big ask. And if she didn't think to ask if you're okay with it first, that's a bit scary. Add to that the fact that some of the writing is pretty Yule. One thing I plan to say is that I'm really not comfortable with her writing scenes with somebody she had with. She hasn't agreed to work with him on it. She just seems excited to see the project actually released. She's even slightly mad at him for doing it, seeing as she thought they agreed to abandon it. I've never wronged her in a serious way. Her ex-husband kind of knew that she was cheating, but as he was basically unemployed and might have difficulty staying in the country where they'd divorced and had been cheating on her, he just let it go. She's had one night where she spent a couple hours chatting with Chris, but since then things have been normal. She explained the situation with her ex-husband that she talked with Chris for several hours a night every night, and ex-husband for self-preservation didn't confront her over it. She starts behaving in that way, I'll be worried. But that hasn't been the case. Dude, stop being such a doormat. You think you're being Mr. Understanding, but you're just being an idiot. Go talk to your damn wife and set some boundaries instead of tooling around on Reddit. This is ridiculous. Go tell her wife it's not happening and go from there. Find you bloody spine. I'm not even remotely surprised by his update. You don't marry a woman like her who cheated on her ex-husband with an ex-boyfriend and expect her to be your forever. She's bound to do some crazy again someday, because she just is legitimately not a normal person. Not so much. Humanity has always sought shelter. A house is just a more elaborately contrived version. Monogamy is a social construct driven by thou shalt not morality that has functionally collapsed in Western society. Case in point, the 2 largest religious congregations in USA are lousy with abuse scandals. But human duality, aka human nature, is biological, not social, which is why not even priests can manage to toe the line. We are compelled to fuck each other even when the result is utter wreckage as here. Most marriages fail, which is really all you need to know here. Why do they? Because our morality is a badly contrived social construct based on fear and misaligned with human nature, which always wins.